Good evening, dear listener, and welcome to a deep, unhurried journey with boring history for sleep. Tonight, we invite you to set aside the cares of the day, close your eyes, and let your mind drift to the ancient land of Nubia, realm of golden sands, life-giving rivers, and a civilization that flourished in the embrace of the Nile long before the modern world took shape. Imagine yourself standing beneath a sky vast and unending, where the sun burns with quiet intensity and the air carries the scent of dust, water, and distant acacia blooms. This is not a story of haste or heroics, but a gentle exploration of lives lived in the shadow of eternity, of struggles born with resilience, and of wonders crafted in a world so distant, yet so vital to our shared past. As you settle into this moment, let your breath slow, your thoughts soften, and the weight of the present slip away. There's no need to cling to every word. Our tale will unfold like the steady current of the Nile, carrying you through the dusty mines, sacred temples, and vibrant markets of ancient Nubia. We'll wander through the lives of laborers and kings, unravel mysteries hidden in the Close your eyes and imagine yourself waking in the pre-dawn hush of ancient Nubia, some 3,000 years ago. In a modest village perched along the Nile's southern reaches, the air is warm, already thick with the promise of a heat that will soon scorch the earth, and the faint scent of river water weaves through the dry, mineral tang of desert dust. You are a miner, one of countless laborers whose days are spent wresting gold from the rocky hills. A task that fuels the grandeur of Nubia's kings, the splendor of its temples, and the envy of distant Egypt. Your life is a steady, unyielding rhythm, shaped by the land's demands, the gods' watchful gaze, and the weight of your labor. Your eyes open to the dim interior of your home, a low hut of mud and straw, its walls smooth but cool in the early hours, their surface etched with the faint cracks of countless dry seasons. The floor is hard-packed earth, cool beneath your feet, and your bed is a woven reed mat, its edges frayed from years of use, offering little cushion against the ground's firmness. As you rise, your muscles protest, stiff from yesterday's toil, a quiet reminder of the cycle that binds you to this place. You pause, listening, the soft rustle of a breeze slipping through the village, the distant bleat of a tethered goat, and the low murmur of neighbors stirring in the twilight. The world feels alive, yet unchanging, a steady pulse beneath the desert's vast silence. You step outside, the ground gritty under your bare feet, and the sky is a deep indigo, just beginning to soften at the horizon where the first glow of dawn waits. The air carries a faint earthy sweetness from nearby acacia trees, their thorny branches casting jagged silhouettes against the fading stars. Your village is small, a cluster of mud huts encircling a communal fire pit, where embers glow faintly, their smoke curling upward like a whispered prayer. You fetch a clay bowl, its surface worn smooth by generations of hands, and scoop a portion of sorghum porridge from a shared pot, cooked the night before over the dying fire. The porridge is thick, slightly coarse, with a nutty warmth, perhaps flecked with wild herbs, mint, or coriander if the season has been generous. You eat standing, the bowl cradled in your hands, sipping water from a heavy jar, its contents cool but tasting faintly of clay and river silt. This simple meal is your foundation, the fuel for a day that will demand every fiber of your strength. Before you leave, you glance at the small shrine in the corner of your hut, a rough stone, carved with the image of Amun, the ram-headed god whose protection you seek. You murmur a quiet prayer, your voice barely above a whisper, asking for strength and safety in the mines. Such rituals are woven into the fabric of your day, small acts of faith that tether you to something greater than the dust and stone. You wrap a linen kilt around your waist, its fabric rough and stained with the reddish hue of desert soil, and slip on sandals woven from palm fibers, their soles thin but better than bare feet against the rocky paths. Now you join the others, a silent procession of men and women trudging toward the mines. The path is familiar, worn smooth by countless footsteps, winding through sparse patches of grass and past gnarled acacia trees, their thorns snagging at your kilt. The air grows warmer, and the first rays of sunlight spill over the hills, casting long shadows and revealing the mining site ahead, a rugged expanse of rocky outcrops, pitted with shallow tunnels and littered with shards of quartz that glint like scattered stars. The scent of dry stone and sweat hangs heavy, mingling with the faint, metallic temps of the earth's hidden treasures. Your tools await, A stone hammer, its surface chipped and smoothed by years of use. A wooden wedge, polished by countless hands. And a woven basket, fraying at the edges but sturdy enough to hold a brie. You kneel beside a quartz vane, its faint golden flecks catching the morning light, and begin your work. The hammer strikes with a dull, rhythmic. As the dust of the mine settles in our minds, let us shift our gaze from the toiling laborers to a figure who stood at the pinnacle of Nubian power, a man whose name echoed across kingdoms and whose ambition reached beyond the sands of his homeland. Picture yourself now in the heart of ancient Nubia, some 7 centuries before our era, in the sacred city of Nub, where the Nile curves gently and the cliffs of Jebel Barkal rise like a sentinel under the desert sky. Here, a king named Taharqa rose to lead the kingdom of Kush, a ruler whose vision and faith would weave Nubia's destiny with that of mighty Egypt, leaving a legacy etched in stone and memory. His story is one of triumphs and trials, of a man who sought to restore an empire, yet faced the unyielding tides of fate. Imagine the city of Napata as Taharqa's reign begins. Around 690 BCE, the air is warm, scented with the sweet smoke of incense drifting from the temple of Amun, where priests in white linen chant softly, their voices blending with the rustle of date palms. The Nile glimmers nearby, its waters reflecting the golden light of dawn, while merchants and pilgrims move through the streets, their sandals stirring the dust. Napata is a place of reverence, a spiritual heart where Nubian kings are crowned beneath the gaze of Amun, the ram-headed god whose will shapes the land. It is here that Taharqa, a young prince of the Kushite dynasty, steps into his role as king, his shoulders draped in a leopard skin cloak, his brow adorned with the double uraeus, the twin cobras, symbolizing his rule over both Nubia and Egypt. Taharqa's rise was no accident, but the culmination of a lineage that had already reshaped the ancient world. His family, the rulers of Kush, had conquered Egypt a generation earlier, establishing the 25th dynasty, known as the Kushite pharaohs. Picture him as a boy, growing up in the shadow of his uncle Shabaka and his father Pi, men who had led armies northward to claim the Nile's ancient throne. The palace at Napata, with its mud-brick walls and columns painted in red and blue, was his schoolroom. Here, he learned the arts of governance, the rituals of Amun, and the weight of a crown that spanned 2 lands. The air in those halls was thick with the scent of myrrh, and the soft scratch of scribes' reeds on papyrus filled the silence, recording decrees and offerings. As a young man, Taharqa was not merely a prince, but a warrior and a devotee of the gods. Imagine him standing on the banks of the Nile, his skin gleaming with sweat as he trained with a bronze-tipped spear, his movements precise, honed for the battles that would define his reign. The elders spoke of his piety, how he knelt in the temple of Amun, offering gold and cattle, his prayers rising like the smoke of burning frankincense. His ambition was not for personal glory, but for a vision of unify a Nubian-Egyptian empire that would rival the greatness of old. This dream, vast as the desert itself, would guide his every step, yet it would also lead him into the path of formidable foes. Taharqa's reign began with a flourish of promise. Picture him, now king, seated on a throne of ebony and gold, his advisors gathered in a courtyard shaded by sycamore trees. The ear is alive with the hum of their voices, discussing trade routes to Punt, the flow of gold from the mines, and the loyalty of Egyptian nobles far to the north. Taharqa's first acts were to strengthen his kingdom, not through war, but through devotion and construction. He ordered the restoration of temples, their sandstone walls carved with scenes of his victories and offerings to Amun. In Napata, the temple of Amun at Jebel Barkal grew grander, its pylons rising against the cliffs, their surfaces gleaming in the sun. In Egypt, he rebuilt shrines at Karnak and Memphis, linking his name to the gods of both lands. Walk with him through the streets of Napata as he inspects these works. The city pulses with activity. Masons chip at stone, their hammers ringing softly. Potters shape clay vessels by the river, and children chase each other through alleys, their laughter a fleeting melody. Taharqa moves among them, his presence commanding yet approachable, his kilt adorned with golden beads that catch the light. The people bow, not out of fear, but reverence, for he is seen as a divine intermediary, a king chosen by Amun to guard the land's prosperity. The scent of fresh-baked bread from a nearby oven mingles with the dust, and the Nile's gentle lapping offers a quiet counterpoint to the city's hum. Yet, Taharqa's reign was not without its shadows. The world beyond Nubia was restless, and the Assyrian Empire, a rising power in the east, cast a long and threatening gaze toward Egypt. Imagine Taharqa and his war council, a dimly lit chamber where oil lamps flicker, casting shadows on walls painted with scenes of past victories. His generals, clad in linen and bronze, speak of Assyrian armies massing near the Levant, their chariots and archers, a growing menace. Taharqa listens, his face calm but his mind weighing the cost of war. He knows that to hold Egypt, he must confront this distant foe, a task that will test his kingdom's strength and his own resolve. In 671 BCE, the storm broke. The Assyrian king Esarhaddon marched on Egypt, his forces sweeping through the delta. Taharqa rallied his armies, a coalition of Nubian and Egyptian warriors, their spears glinting under the sun, their shields painted with the symbols of Amun and Ar. Picture the march northward, a long column of men moving through the Nile's green valley, the air thick with the scent of mud and papyrus. The clash, when it came, was fierce but distant from our gentle tale. Lives were lost, cities fell, and the earth bore witness to the sorrow of conflict. Taharqa's forces were pushed back, and Memphis, Egypt's ancient capital, slipped from his grasp. But Taharqa was not a man to yield his. Imagine him retreating to Thebes, the city of temples, where he gathered his strength. The air there is heavy with the scent of lotus flowers and burning resin, and the Nile's current seems to whisper of resilience. As the echo of Taharqa's reign fades into the sands of time, let us wander deeper into the heart of ancient Nubia, to a place where the desert meets the divine, and the past guards its secrets with quiet resolve. Picture yourself standing on the outskirts of Meru, the great capital of the kingdom of Kush, some 2,000 years ago. The air is warm, thick with the scent of sun-baked earth and the faint sweetness of acacia blooms. Before you, rising from the golden dunes, stand the pyramids of Meru Small, steep-sided structures, their sandstone surfaces, weathered yet proud, catching the light of a setting sun. These are not the vast monuments of Egypt, but something altogether unique, their purpose and meaning a puzzle that has captivated scholars and dreamers for centuries. Tonight, we unravel the mystery of Mero's pyramids, exploring their origins, their sacred role, and the questions that linger in their shadows, all while the rhythm of Nubia's ancient world lulls us gently onward. Imagine Meru at its height, a bustling city straddling the Nile, its waters a lifeline through the desert. The skyline is dotted with temples and palaces, their mud-brick walls painted in ochre and white. But it is the pyramids that draw the Ajar cluster of over 200 tombs, grouped in 3 cemeteries, stretching across the sandy hills. The air carries the soft clink of masons' tools, the murmur of priests offering prayers, and the occasional bray of a donkey laden with goods from distant lands. Meru is a place of power, a spiritual and political hub where Nubian kings and queens were laid to rest, their legacies sealed beneath these stone sentinels. Yet, as you stand before them, their silence speaks louder than their form. What were these pyramids meant to signify, and why do they differ so starkly from their Egyptian cousins? Let us begin with the pyramids themselves, their physical presence, a gateway to the mystery. Picture a single tomb, its base perhaps 30 feet wide, its sides sloping sharply to a pointed capstone, rising no higher than a 3-story house. The stone is local sandstone, quarried from nearby hills, its surface smoothed by skilled hands, but now etched with the scars of time cracks from heat, erosion from wind, and the faint traces of ancient carvings. Unlike Egypt's grand pyramids, built as eternal homes for pharaohs, Mero's tombs are smaller, more numerous, and clustered like a sacred village of the dead. Each has a chapel on its eastern side, a small chamber where offerings were made, its walls once adorned with reliefs of gods and kings, now faded but still whispering of a lost world. Walk closer and imagine the chapel's interior, dim and cool, the air heavy with the scent of old stone and lingering incense. The walls depict scenes of the deceased, perhaps a king, his kilt adorned with gold, offering gifts to Amun, the lion-headed war god of Nubia. The colors, once vibrant reds and blues, are muted now, but they tell a story of divine connection, of a ruler ascending to the gods. Outside, the pyramid's entrance leads to an underground chamber, a narrow passage carved into the bedrock, where the body was laid with treasures, gold, jewelry, bronze weapons, and pottery filled with food for the afterlife. But these chambers, when uncovered by modern archaeologists, were often empty, their contents taken by looters long ago, leaving only questions in their place. The first mystery is their purpose. Were these pyramids merely tombs, or did they serve a broader role in Nubian faith? Picture yourself among the priests of Meru, moving through a festival at dusk. The sky a deep violet streaked with gold. The air is alive with the sound of sistrum rattling metal instruments, and the low chant of hymns to almond torches flicker, casting light on the pyramids, and the people gather, their linen garments glowing in the firelight. Some scholars believe the pyramids were not just graves, but markers of divine kingship, symbols of the ruler's eternal bond with the gods. Unlike Egyptian pharaohs, who built one massive pyramid, Nubian kings and queens each had their own, suggesting a culture that valued individual legacy within a collective sacred landscape. But there's a deeper question. Why so many, and why here? Meru became the royal cemetery after Napata, farther north, waned in prominence. Imagine the shift, a slow migration of power as the kingdom of Kush turned southward, drawn by the Nile's fertile banks and the iron-rich hills that fueled a new economy. The pyramids, built from the 8th century BCE to the 4th century CE, spanned centuries, each generation adding to the necropolis. The air in Meru was different, warmer, dustier, with the scent of smelting furnaces mingling with the river's freshness. The city's wealth came from gold, iron, and trade with Africa, Arabia, and India, and the pyramids stood as a testament to that prosperity, a way to anchor the kingdom's divine right in the face of a changing world. Let us pause to consider a sub-scene, a moment in the life of a mason who helped build these tombs. Picture him, a man named Hedi, his hands rough from years of chiseling stone, working under the midday sun. The air is thick with the scent of sweat and sandstone dust, and the clink of his hammer echoes across the site. Hetty kneels beside a block, his chisel carving a relief of a kondik, her arms raised in offering. He pauses to sip water from a clay jug, its surface warm from the heat, and listens to the overseer's instructions, delivered in a low, steady voice. Hetty's life is one of quiet pride. He knows his work will honor the gods, even if his name will not be remembered. At day's end, he joins his family in a nearby village, sharing a meal of millet and dried fish by a fire, the pyramids looming in the distance, their silhouettes a reminder of the eternal. Yet, the mystery deepens when we consider the pyramids' fate. Many were plundered, their chambers emptied by thieves who braved the desert's dangers for gold and jewels. Imagine a looter, centuries after Mero's fall, creeping through the night, his torch casting shadows on the chapel walls. The air is stale, heavy with the weight of time, and the silence is broken only by the scrape of his tools against the stone. He finds a necklace, its beads of faience and gold glinting in the flickering light, but the body of the king or queen is gone, perhaps decayed or moved by priests to protect it. These acts of theft, while stripping the tombs of their treasures, left behind fragments, pottery shards, broken amulets that modern archaeologists have pieced together, offering glimpses of a culture that valued both the material and the divine. Another layer of the mystery lies in the pyramids' design. Why are they so steep, so unlike Egypt's broad-based monuments? Picture a Nubian architect, his papyrus scrolls spread on a wooden table, the air scented with the wax of oil lamps. He sketches the pyramid's form, its sharp angles a deliberate choice, perhaps to mimic the cliffs of Jebel Barkal or to symbolize the soul's ascent to the heavens. The steepness made them harder to build, requiring precise stonework and deep foundations, yet it gave them a distinct. As the enigma of Moro's pyramids fades into the desert's twilight, let us step from the sands of mystery into the heart of Nubian power, where the air is scented with incense and the weight of a crown rests lightly on those chosen to wear it. Picture yourself in the ancient city of Napata, some 700 years before our era, standing within the cool, shadowed halls of a royal palace. The Nile flows nearby, its waters a quiet hum beneath the city's pulse, and the cliffs of Jebel Barkal loom like silent guardians. Here, you are no longer a laborer toiling in the mines, but a Kandaka, Nubian queen whose authority shapes the kingdom, whose grace commands reverence, and whose life is a delicate balance of divine duty and earthly power. Tonight, we immerse ourselves in the world of a Nubian queen, a life of splendor and responsibility, woven into the rhythm of a civilization that thrived beneath the desert sun. Imagine the palace at Napata, its mud brick walls smoothed and painted with ochre and white, their surfaces catching the golden light of dawn. The air is warm, heavy with the scent of myrrh burning in bronze censers, and the soft rustle of palm fronds outside blends with the low murmur of courtiers moving through the corridors. As a Kandeg, your day begins with the first light, though not with the harsh labor of the mines, but with rituals that affirm your divine connection. You rise from a bed of ebony, its surface inlaid with ivory, draped with linen sheets dyed a deep indigo, their texture smooth against your skin. The room is spacious, its high ceiling supported by columns painted with lotus and papyrus motifs, and a breeze carries the faint, sweet aroma of the Nile's waters through an open window. Your attendants, women clad in simple linen shifts, approach with quiet steps, their heads bowed. They offer a basin of water, warmed and scented with rose petals, and you wash your face, the cool liquid a gentle awakening. Your attire is a masterpiece of Nubian craftsmanship, a long, pleated gown of fine linen, its edges embroidered with gold thread, and a broad collar necklace of faience beads, carnelian and gold, its weight a reminder of your station. A diadem of electrum, shaped like a crescent moon, rests on your brow, and your arms are adorned with bracelets that clink softly with every movement. The air around you hums with the scent of perfumed oil, sandalwood, and frankincense applied to your skin, their fragrance lingering as you prepare to face the day. Your first duty is to the gods, for as Kondik, you are not merely a ruler, but a divine intermediary, chosen by Amen to guide the kingdom. Picture yourself walking through the palace courtyard, the ground paved with polished stone, warm beneath your sandaled feet. The air is alive with the chirping of sparrows and the soft splash of a fountain, its water catching the sunlight in fleeting rainbows. You approach a private shrine, a small chamber dedicated to Amun and Mut, his consort. The walls are carved with scenes of your Ofrungsgetal, gold and grain. The air is thick with the smoke of burning resin. You kneel before the altar, your voice low as you chant a prayer, the words ancient and rhythmic, asking for wisdom and prosperity. A priestess, her linen robe adorned with a single gold amulet, places a bowl of milk and honey before the statue of Amen, its granite surface gleaming in the lamplight. This ritual, repeated daily, is the heartbeat of your role, tying your rule to the divine order. Now, let us follow you to the audience hall, where the business of the kingdom awaits. The hall is grand, its ceiling supported by cedar beams, the scent mingling with the dust of the desert air. Courtiers and advisors gather, their robes a cascade of white and blue, their voices a soft hum as they bow in your presence. You sit on a throne of ebony, cushioned with leopard skins, its arms carved with the likeness of lions, symbols of Apidmak, the war god. The air is warm, stirred by servants waving ostrich feather fans, their movements slow and deliberate. Before you stands a merchant, his hands clasped, recounting a caravan's journey from Punt, bearing ebony and incense. You listen, your expression calm, but your mind weighs his words. Is the lifeblood of Nubia, and a single failed expedition could strain the treasury. Picture a moment of counsel as you confer with your chief advisor, a grizzled man named Mary, his face lined from years of service. The air in the side chamber is cooler, scented with the wax of oil lamps, and papyrus scrolls lie scattered on a low table, their surfaces marked with hieratic script. Mary speaks of unrest in the northern provinces, where Egyptian nobles chafe under Kushite rule, and of Assyrian scouts sighted near the Levant. Your voice is steady as you issue orders: reinforce the garrisons, send emissaries to Thebes. But the weight of these decisions lingers, a quiet burden beneath your regal poise. The air grows still, and the soft scratch of a scribe's reed records your words, preserving them for the annals of the kingdom. Yet, your life is not all duty. Imagine a moment of respite in the palace gardens, a shaded oasis where date palms and tamarisks cast dappled patterns on the ground. The air is fresher here, scented with the damp earth of irrigation channels and the delicate bloom of lotus flowers. You sit on a cushioned bench, a lyre player strumming a gentle melody, the notes blending with the hum of bees and the distant laughter of children, perhaps your own or those of the court. A servant offers a clay cup of date wine, its flavor sweet and slightly tart, and you sip slowly, savoring the rare pause. These moments are fleeting, but they remind you of the kingdom's beauty, the land you are sworn to protect. as candid your role extends beyond governance to war and diplomacy. Picture a day when you inspect the Royal Archers, a unit famed for their skill with the longbow. The training ground is a flat expanse near the Nile, the air thick with the scent of dust and leather. The archers, men and women clad in linen tunics, draw their bows in unison, their arrows thudding into straw targets with a soft, rhythmic thump. You walk among them, your presence a quiet command, and pause to test a bow yourself, its wood smooth under your fingers, its string taut with potential. The soldiers bow, their faces alight with pride. For in Nubia, queens are not mere figureheads, but leaders who ride into battle, their chariots gleaming with gold. The memory of Amenurina Zakandake, who later defied Rome, lingers in the air, a whisper of the power you wield. But power comes with peril. The court is a web of alliances and rivalries, and you must navigate it with care. Imagine a banquet, the hall aglow with oil lamps, their light dancing on walls painted with scenes of Nile. As the golden halls of the Nubian queen fade into the stillness of the night, let us step from the grandeur of the palace to the humble hearths of the artisans, whose hands shape the everyday beauty of ancient Nubia. Picture yourself now in a quiet village near the Nile, some 2,000 years ago, where the air is warm and thick with the scent of damp earth and burning wood. The river flows nearby, its waters a steady hum, reflecting the flickering light of a communal fire. You are no longer a queen commanding a kingdom, nor a miner toiling in the hills, but a potter, a craftsman, whose skill transforms the river's clay into vessels that hold the rhythm of Nubian life. Tonight, we immerse ourselves in the craft of Nubian pottery, a practice as old as the kingdom itself, where patience and precision wove art into the fabric of the everyday, beneath the ever-watchful desert sun. Imagine the village at dawn, a cluster of mud brick huts nestled along the Nile's banks, their walls smoothed by years of wind and rain. The air carries the fresh, mineral scent of the river, mingled with the smoky warmth of fires kindled for the day's work. Your home is modest, its interior cool and dim, the floor strewn with rushes that rustle underfoot. A low table holds your tools, a wooden paddle, a smooth river stone, and a shard of gourd for scraping. Nearby, a pile of clay, dug from the Nile's silty banks, waits in a woven basket, its surface glistening with moisture. The clay is the heart of your craft, a gift from the river that sustains Nubia, and its touch is cool and pliable, yielding to your hands like a living thing. Your day begins with the ritual of preparation. Picture yourself kneeling beside the clay pile, the ground soft beneath you, the air alive with the chirping of birds and the distant laughter of children playing by the water. You add water from a clay jar, its contents cool and faintly earthy, and knead the clay, your fingers sinking into its smooth, heavy mass. The work is slow, deliberate, the rhythm of your hands a quiet meditation. Dust motes dance in the morning light, and the scent of wet clay fills the air, grounding you in the task. This is not a craft of haste, but of patience, for the clay must be free of air bubbles and stones, its texture uniform before it can be shaped. Now, let us follow you to the workshop, an open-air space shaded by a canopy of palm fronds, their shadows dappling the ground. The air is warmer here, thick with the smoky temps of a nearby kiln, a dome-shaped structure of mud and straw where your pots will be fired. You sit cross-legged, a flat stone before you, as a makeshift wheel, and begin to shape the clay. Your hands move with practiced ease, coaxing the clay into a sphere, then pressing it into a disc. The texture is smooth but gritty, and the soft scrape of clay against stone blends with the hum of village leafther, clink of a neighbor's loom, the soft bleat of a goat, the murmur of women drawing water from the river. The vessel you craft is a classic Nubian form, a black-topped jar, its elegance born of simplicity. Picture the clay rising under your fingers, its walls thinning as you shape the base, then curve upward into a graceful neck. You dip your fingers in water, smoothing the surface, and the clay responds, its surface gleaming in the sunlight. The black-topped style, a hallmark of Nubian pottery, is achieved through a delicate process. You polish the upper half with a river stone, its surface cool and slick, creating a sheen that will darken in the kiln. The lower half is left rougher, textured with faint ridges from your fingers, a contrast that speaks of Nubia's blend of utility and art. The air around you grows warmer, and a faint sweat beads on your brow, but the rhythm of shaping is soothing. a quiet dance of hands and clay. Let us pause for a sub-scene, a moment when you visit the river to gather more clay. Picture yourself walking along the Nile's edge, the ground soft and muddy, the air fresh with the scent of water and reeds. The river is alive, its surface rippling under a gentle breeze, and herons stalk the shallows, their movements slow and deliberate. You kneel at the bank, your kilt tucked up to keep it dry, and scoop clay with a wooden spade, its weight heavy in your hands. A friend, another potter named Azat, joins you, her laughter soft as she teases you about a cracked pot from last week's firing. The air is filled with the buzz of dragonflies and the distant call of a fisherman, and for a moment the world feels light, the labor a shared endeavor. You return to the village, your basket heavy with clay, the Nile's gift that will become vessels for grain, water, or offerings to the gods. Back at the workshop, the shaping continues. You craft not just jars, but bowls, cups, and ceremonial vessels, each with a purpose in Nubian life. A wide-mouthed bowl for a family's meal, its rim incised with geometric patterns. A tall, narrow jar for a priest's offerings, its surface painted with red ochre in the shape of a lotus. The air grows thick with the scent of drying clay, and the soft thud of your paddle shapes the vessel's curves, a sound that blends with the village's quiet pulse. Your work is not solitary other potters' work nearby. Their voices a low hum as they share techniques or stories of the market at Kerma, where your pots will be sold or traded for linen, fish, or beads. The firing of the pots is a ritual in itself, a moment of transformation that binds your craft to the elements. Picture the kiln at dusk, its interior glowing red, the air heavy with the smoky scent of burning acacia wood. You place your pots carefully, some buried in straw to create the black-topped effect, the straws charring leaving a glossy, darkened rim. The fire crackles, its warmth pressing against your skin, and the village gathers, their faces lit by the glow. Children watch wide-eyed, and an elder chants a prayer to Potter, the god of craftsmen, asking for a successful firing. The air is alive with the scent of smoke and anticipation, and the soft hum of the chant lulls you into a trance-like focus, the rhythm of the fire, mirroring the rhythm of your craft. The firing lasts through the night, and you stay near, tending the flames, the air cooling as the stars emerge, their light a canopy above the desert. When dawn breaks, the kiln is opened, and the pots emerge, their surfaces transform, some gleaming black and red, others cracked and discarded, a quiet reminder of the craft's unpredictability. You lift a jar, its weight balanced and warm, its surface smooth under your fingers, and feel a quiet pride. This jar might hold a family's grain, carry water for a temple, or rest in a tomb, a piece of your labor woven into Nubia's story. Let us linger on the market, where your pots find their purpose. Picture yourself in Kerma, a bustling trade hub, the air thick with the scent of spices, fish, and fresh-baked bread. The market is a tapestry of sound merchants haggling, donkeys. As the potter's kiln fades into the quiet of the night, let us step from the humble village workshops to a place where the divine and the earthly converge, where stone and faith rise together under the desert sky. Picture yourself now in the ancient city of Napata, some 800 years before our era, standing at the foot of Jebel Barkal, a sacred cliff that looms like a silent guardian over the Nile's gentle curve. The air is warm, scented with the sweet smoke of burning frankincense, and the fresh, mineral breath of the river nearby. Before you stands the Temple of Amun, a monumental sanctuary of sandstone and devotion, its towering pylons catching the golden light of dawn. Tonight, we wander the sacred precincts of this Nubian wonder, exploring its construction, its rituals, and its role as the spiritual heart of a kingdom, all while the rhythm of ancient Nubia lulls us gently into the past. Imagined Napata, at the height of the kingdom of Kush, a bustling city where the Nile's waters nourish fields of millet and the streets hum with the voices of traders, priests, and pilgrims. The Temple of Amun is the city's crown, nestled against the reddish cliffs of Jebel Barkal, a natural monument believed to be the dwelling place of Amun himself, the ram-headed god of creation and kingship. The air carries the soft clink of masons' tools, the murmur of chants drifting from the temple's inner chambers, and the occasional bray of a donkey laden with offerings from distant villages. The temple is more than a building, it is a bridge to the divine, a place where Nubian kings were crowned, where prayers shaped the kingdom's fate, and where the eternal met the ephemeral beneath the desert sun. Let us begin with the temple's form, a marvel of architecture that speaks of Nubia's ambition and faith. Picture the main entrance, a massive pylon gateway, its sandstone surfaces carved with towering reliefs of Amen, his ram's horns curling against a backdrop of stars. The stone is warm to the touch, smoothed by countless hands, and its surface glimmers in the sunlight, reflecting the labor of generations. Beyond the pylon lies a vast courtyard, its floor paved with polished slabs, where priests and worshippers gather under the open sky. The air is thick with the scent of myrrh, burned in bronze censers, and the soft rustle of linen robes blends with the hum of sacred hymns. Columns, painted in red, blue, and gold, line the courtyard, their capitals shaped like lotus buds, swaying gently in the breeze as if alive. Walk deeper, and you enter the hypostyle hall, a forest of columns that support a roof of massive stone slabs. The air here is cooler, shadowed, and heavy with the scent of old stone and lingering incense. The columns are carved with scenes of kings offering gold to Amen, their figures larger than life, their faces serene yet commanding. The light filters through narrow, clear-story windows, casting golden beams that dance across the floor, illuminating flecks of dust that drift like tiny stars. At the heart of the temple lies the sanctuary, a small, dim chamber where Amen's statue resides, crafted of granite and adorned with gold, its eyes inlaid with lapis lazuli that seem to glow in the lamplight. The air is still, sacred, and the soft chant of a priest echoes faintly, a rhythm that lulls the soul. The construction of this temple was a feat of endurance and devotion, spanning centuries as kings like Pi and Taharqa expanded its glory. Picture the quarry, a few miles from Napata, where workers chipped sandstone from the cliffs, their hammers ringing in the dry air, their sweat mingling with the dust. The blocks, some weighing tons, were dragged on sledges across the desert, the ground smoothed with water to ease their passage. The air was thick with the scent of effort and earth, and the workers' chants, rhythmic and low, kept time with their steps. At the temple site, masons shaped the stone with copper chisels, their tools glinting in the sun, while architects, their papyrus plans weighted with stones, directed the placement of each block. The process was slow, deliberate, a labor of love for the gods, and the air hummed with the quiet pride of those who built for eternity. Let us pause for a subscene, a moment in the life of a young mason named Sinab, working on the temple's expansion. Picture him at dawn, kneeling beside a sandstone block, his chisel striking with a steady tap, the air warm and scented with the dust of his labor. His hands are calloused, his kilt stained with red earth, but his eyes are bright with purpose. The cliff of Jebel Barkal looms above, its shadow a cool respite, and the Nile glimmers in the distance, a reminder of the land's lifeblood. Seneb pauses to sip water from a clay jar, its surface beaded with condensation, and listens to an overseer's instructions, delivered in a calm, measured tone. At midday, he joins other workers under a palm front awning, sharing a meal of flatbread and dried fish, their laughter soft as they trade stories of the temple's growing splendor. The air is alive with the buzz of flies and a distant chant of priests, and Senob feels a quiet connection to the sacred work, knowing his hands shape a legacy that will outlast him. The temple was not just a monument, but the heart of Nubian ritual. Imagine a coronation ceremony, held in the courtyard at dusk, the sky a deep indigo streaked with gold. The air is thick with the scent of burning resin and the sound of sistrum-straddling metal instruments, blending with the low hum of hymn. A king, perhaps Taharqa, stands before the pylon, his leopard skin cloak glinting with gold, his brow anointed with oil that smells of lotus and myrrh. Priests in white linen circle him, their voices rising in praise of Amen, while the crowd nobles, farmers, and traders watches in reverent silence, their faces lit by torchlight. The king enters the sanctuary, alone, to commune with Amen, the air heavy with the weight of divine approval. This ritual, repeated for centuries, bound the kingdom to its gods, the temple a stage where heaven and earth met. But the temple was also a place of daily worship, where ordinary Nubians sought the gods' favor. Picture a farmer, her hands rough from tending millet, approaching the courtyard with a small offerenga clay bowl of grain, its surface dusted with ash from her hearth. The air is warm, scented with the sweat of pilgrims and the sweetness of burning herbs, and the soft chant of a priestess welcomes her. She places her offering at a shrine, her voice low as she prays for a bountiful harvest, her words blending with the hum of others seeking healing, protection, or forgiveness. The temple's walls, carved with scenes of Ammon's benevolence, seem to listen, and the air feels charged with a quiet holiness, a comfort that lulls the heart. The temple's role extended beyond religion to politics and culture. Imagine a council meeting in a side chamber, the air cool and scented with the wax of oil lamps. The king and his advisors, their robes adorned with gold, discuss trade with Punt or tensions with Egypt. Their voices low but urgent. Scribes record their words on papyrus, the soft scratch of their reeds a steady rhythm, while as the sacred halls of the Temple of Amun fade into the quiet reverence of Napata's cliffs. Let us step from the realm of the divine to the vibrant pulse of Nubian life, where the Nile's banks come alive with the rhythm of trade. Picture yourself now in the ancient city of Kerma, some 2,000 years ago, standing on a sun-warmed dock, where the river's waters shimmer like polished obsidian. The air is thick with the scents of dried fish, crushed spices, and the earthy dampness of the Nile's edge. You are no longer a potter shaping clay or a queen issuing decrees, but a trader navigating the bustling markets that fuel Nubia's wealth. Tonight, we immerse ourselves in the world of trade on the Nile's banks, a place of haggling, hope, and hidden risks, where goods from distant lands weave a tapestry of connection beneath the desert sun. Imagine Kerma at midday, a thriving hub of the Kingdom of Kush, its mud-brick buildings clustered along the Nile's fertile curve. The market stretches along the riverbank, a chaotic sprawl of stalls shaded by palm-frond canopies, their edges fraying in the breeze. The air is alive with sound, a low murmur of voices bartering, the clink of copper weights on scales, the soft thud of baskets being set down, and the occasional splash as a fisherman hauls his catch ashore. The Nile is the market's lifeblood, its waters carrying boats laden with goods from as far as Punt, Egypt, and the Sahara's. The scent of the river mingles with the sharp tamps of dried herbs, the musky aroma of animal hides, and the warm, nutty smell of roasted sesame seeds, creating a sensory tapestry that envelops you. As a trader, your day begins early, before the heat becomes unbearable. Picture yourself rising in a modest house near the docks, its walls of sun-baked mud, cool in the dawn's light. The floor is strewn with rushes, their faint, grassy scent blending with the river's freshness seeping through a small window. You dress in a linen tunic, its fabric worn but clean, and wrap a cloth around your head to shield against the sun. Breakfast is simpler flatbread spread with honey and a handful of dates, their sweetness lingering on your tongue as you sip water from a clay jug, its surface beaded with condensation. The air carries the soft chirping of birds and the distant call of a dock worker, signaling the arrival of a new boat. You make your way to the market, your sandals crunching on the sandy path, the Nile glinting to your left, your goods perhaps a stack of ostrich feathers, their tips swaying in the breeze, or a basket of gold nuggets from the Mainzar carried by a porter, a young man whose kilt is stained with river mud. The market is already stirring, and you set up your stall. A simple wooden frame draped with linen, its surface dusted with the ever-present sand. You arrange your wares carefully, the feathers catching the light, the gold gleaming faintly, each item a promise of profit. The air grows warmer, and the hum of the market swells, merchants calling out prices, women laughing as they inspect pottery, and children darting through the crowd, their voices a bright counterpoint to the steady rhythm of trade. Let us pause for a subscene, a moment of haggling with a merchant from Punt. Picture him, a man named Hapu, his skin weathered from sea voyages, his robe adorned with beads of blue feathers. The air is thick with the scent of his cargo sacks of frankincense, their resinous aroma sharp and heady. He eyes your ostrich feathers, their plumes soft and luxurious, and offers a bundle of ebony wood, its surface polished to a dark sheen. You counter, your voice calm but firm, suggesting a jar of myrrh to sweeten the deal. The negotiation is a dance, no raised voices, but a steady rhythm of offers and counter-offers, punctuated by sips of date wine from a shared cup. The air hums with the buzz of flies and the soft splash of a nearby boat, and you reach an agreement, the goods exchanged with a nod and a smile, sealing a bond that spans continents. Trade in Kerma is not just about goods, but connections. Picture the market as a crossroads of Nubia's world. To your left, An Egyptian trader offers linen dyed in shades of indigo and saffron, his accents sharp and his hands quick as he measures cloth with a reed rod. To your right, a woman from the Sahara, her face veiled against the dust, barters ivory tusks, their curves gleaming in the sunlight. The air carries the scent of her camel's wool, mingling with the fishy tang of Nile perch displayed on a nearby stall. You trade your gold for a string of carnelian beads, their red glow a reminder of the mine's labor, and later exchange feathers for a sack of millet, its grains spilling slightly as you tie the bag. Each transaction is a thread in Nubia's economic tapestry, linking villages, cities, and distant lands. But trade is not without its risks. Picture a moment of tension as a boat arrives, its hull battered from a storm on the Nile's cataracts. The air is heavy with the scent of wet wood and anxiety, and the dock workers whisper of bandits who raid caravans in the desert. You inspect the cargo patori jars, cracked in transit, their contents of sesame oil leaking into the river. The low stings, but you remain calm, knowing the market's rhythm ebbs and flows like the Nile itself. Another day, a tax collector, his staff adorned with a bronze falcon, demands a portion of your goods for the king's treasury. The air grows still as you hand over a small pouch of gold dust, its weight a reminder of the kingdom's claim on your labor. Let us linger on a quieter moment. When you visit a riverside dock at dusk to meet a boat from Meru, the air is cooler now, scented with the fresh, earthy smell of the Nile and the faint smoke of cooking fires from the village. The boat, a reed vessel with a single sail, glides silently to the shore, its crew unloading baskets of iron tools, their surfaces glinting in the fading light. You barter for a bronze adze, its handle worn smooth, useful for a friend's carpentry work. The captain, a weathered man with a scar across his cheek, shares a tale of a distant market in Axum, where spices and gold flow like rivers. His voice is low, almost a lullaby, and the gentle lapping of the Nile against the dock soothes your thoughts, tying you to a world beyond the desert. The market is also a place of community, where the rhythm of trade fosters connection. Picture a festival day, the air alive with the sound of drums and sistrums, their metallic rattle blending with the laughter of children. Stalls are adorned with palm fronds, and the scent of roasted gazelle and fresh-baked bread fills the air. You share a meal with fellow traders under a canopy, passing around a bowl of spiced lentils and flatbread, the flavors warm and grounding. A storyteller, his voice soft and rhythmic, recounts a tale of the Nile's creation, his words weaving a spell that lulls the crowd. The air grows warm, and the market's pulse slows, a moment of rest in the endless cycle of trade. The risks of trade extend beyond the market's borders. Imagine a journey you undertake, leading a caravan across the desert to an oasis market. The air is dry, scented with the musky tang of camels, and the sand shifts beneath your feet, warm even through your sandals. The journey is long, the sun relentless, and the threat of bandits lingers, their presence a shadow in the dunes. You carry gold and feathers, your baskets, as the bustling markets of Kerma fade into the twilight, their voices softening along the Nile's banks. Let us turn from the rhythm of trade to the quiet power of stories, the myths that shaped the soul of ancient Nubia. Picture yourself now in the city of Meru, some 500 years before our era, seated by a flickering fire under a sky strewn with stars. The air is warm, scented with the smoky temps of burning acacia wood, and the faint sweetness of myrrh drifting from a nearby temple. You are surrounded by villagers, their faces lit by the fire's glow, listening to an elder whose voice weaves a tale as old as the sands. Tonight, we drift through the myth of Aped-Mak, the lion-headed war god of Nubia, a deity whose strength and mystery inspired warriors, priests, and poets, lulling us into the timeless rhythm of a story that bound a people to their divine protector. Imagine the setting of this tale. A village near Meru, where mud brick huts cluster around a central fire pit, their walls glowing faintly in the evening light. The air carries the scent of roasted millet and the distant ripple of the Nile, its waters a quiet counterpoint to the crackle of the fire. The elder, a woman named Nefort, sits on a woven mat, her hair adorned with beads that clink softly as she moves. Her voice is low, steady, almost a melody, as she begins the story of Aped-Mak, the god whose roar shaped the world and whose gaze guarded Nubia's borders. The listeners, farmers, potters, children lean closer, their eyes wide, their breaths slowing as the tale unfolds, a soothing thread in the fabric of their lives. The myth begins in a time before time, when the earth was formless and the Nile was but a whisper in the gods' dreams. Picture a vast desert, its sands shimmering under a moonless sky, the air heavy with the scent of unseen waters. Apedmuk, the lion-headed god, emerged from the chaos, his mane a cascade of golden light, his eyes blazing like twin suns. His roar, the story goes, split the darkness, calling forth the cliffs of Jebel Barkal and the river that would become Nubia's lifeblood. The elder's voice rises slightly, then falls, her words painting a world where mountains rose and stars were born, each act a testament to Apedmuk's might. The air around you grows still, and the fire's warmth lulls your thoughts, drawing you deeper into the tale. Apedmuk was not merely a creator, but a protector, a god of war and strength, who stood beside Nubia's kings and queens. Imagine a temple dedicated to him, its sandstone walls carved with his image lion's head, crowned with a solar disk, his hands wielding a bow and scepter. The air within is thick with the scent of burning resin and the soft chant of priests' echoes, their voices blending with the rustle of linen robes. The myth tells of Apedmuk's first gift to Nubia, a bow of acacia wood, its string taut as the desert wind, given to a warrior king to defend the land from invaders. The elder pauses, her hands tracing the air as if holding the bow, and the listeners sigh, their breaths a soft rhythm, as the story weaves its spell. Let us pause for a sub-scene, a moment when a young warrior, named Amenhotep, hears the myth during a festival. Picture him standing outside the temple of Apedmuk in Meru, the air warm and scented with the smoke of sacrificial fires, torches cast flickering shadows on the walls, where carvings depict Apedmuk slaying enemies, his lion's mane a cascade of stone curls. Amenhotep, his linen kilt adorned with a single bronze bead, listens as a priest recounts the tale, his voice a soothing drone. The story tells of Apedmuk guiding a lost tribe through the desert, his roar scattering bandits like leaves in the wind. Amenhotep feels a quiet pride, his hand resting on the hilt of his dagger, knowing his training as an archer honors the god's legacy. The air hums with the beat of drums, and the scent of roasted gazelle wafts from a nearby feast, lulling him into a sense of purpose and peace. The myth continues, weaving tales of Apedmuk's deeds. Picture a battlefield, not with the chaos of clashing swords, but as the elder describes, it a place where the god's presence turned the tide. The air is thick with the scent of dust and sweat, but the focus is on the aftermath. The quiet gratitude of warriors who offered grain and gold to thank Apedmuk for their safety. The elder's voice softens, recounting how the god taught Nubians to hunt, his strength guiding their arrows to antelope and ibex, ensuring the villagers never went hungry. The fire crackles, its lights dancing on the listeners' faces, and the story's rhythm steady, unhurried lulls you deeper, like a river carrying you gently downstream. Apedmuk's myth was not just a story, but a cultural anchor, shaping Nubian identity. Imagine a temple relief carved in Mero's golden sandstone, showing the god beside a kandeg, their figures equal in size, a testament to Nubia's reverence for both strength and sovereignty. The air in the carver's workshop is thick with the scent of stone dust and wax, and the soft tap of chisels echoes as artisans work by lamplight. The myth inspired not just warriors, but priests who saw Apedmuk as a guardian of justice, and mothers who whispered his name to calm their children during storms. The air carries the faint sound of a lullaby, its notes blending with the desert's quiet, a reminder of the god's protective embrace. Let us linger on a moment of ritual when a village honors Apedmuk during a harvest festival. Picture the scene at dusk, the air cool and scented with the fresh earth of newly reaped fields. The villagers gather around a fire, their linen garments glowing in the torchlight, and a priestess, her arms adorned with gold bangles, leads a chant. The air is alive with the rattle of sistrums and the soft thud of drums, and a clay statue of Apedmuk, its lion head painted red and gold, stands at the center. Offerings of millet and wine are placed at its base, their scents mingling with the smoke, and the villagers dance, their movements slow and reverent, a quiet celebration of the god who guards their land. The rhythm of the chant, steady and soothing, weaves through the night, lulling the heart into rest. The myth also reflects Nubia's place in a wider world. Picture a trader from Punt, his boat docked at Meru, sharing the story with the Nubian priest. The air is thick with the scent of his cargo, frankincense and myrrh. His voice carries tales of similar lion gods in distant lands, suggesting Apemac's myth drew from ancient African traditions, blending them with Nubian pride. The priest listens, his fingers tracing a lion amulet, and the air grows still. The Niles ripple a soft counterpoint to their words. This exchange, quiet and thoughtful, shows how myths traveled along trade routes, weaving Nubia into a tapestry of stories that spanned continents. But the myth was not without its shadows. The eldest tale speaks of times when Apemac's favor seemed distant, when drought or invaders tested the kingdom. Picture a village elder, years after the myth's first telling, recounting how warriors prayed to Apemmac before a battle, only to return diminished, their numbers fewer, their spirits heavy. The air is thick with the scent of dust and sorrow, but the focus is on their resilience, their offerings to the god for strength to rebuild. The elder's voice remains calm, avoiding the weight of loss, and the listeners nod, their breaths slowing, finding comfort in the story's enduring hope. The myth of Apemmac is a thread in Nubia's cultural tapestry, a story that bound warriors to their courage, priests to their faith, and villagers to their land. As the elder's voice as the mythic tales of Apemmac fade into the starlit night, their echoes lingering like a distant drum, let us step from the realm of gods and heroes to the heart of Nubian life, where the strength and grace of women wove the fabric of society. Picture yourself now in a village near the Nile, some 2,000 years ago, where the air is warm and scented with the earthy aroma of freshly tilled fields and the faint sweetness of acacia blooms. The river flows nearby, its waters a steady murmur, reflecting the golden light of dawn. You are no longer a trader, bartering goods, or a priest, chanting to the gods, but a woman of Nubia, perhaps a farmer, a priestess, or an archer whose life is a quiet testament to resilience and agency in a world shaped by labor and faith. Tonight, we explore the lives of women in Nubian society, from the fields to the temples. Their roles a vital thread in the kingdom's rhythm, lulling us gently into the past. Imagine a village near Kuma, its mud-brick huts clustered along the Nile's fertile banks, their walls smoothed by years of sun and rain. The air carries the soft clink of pottery being stacked, the laughter of children, and the rhythmic thud of pestles grinding millet. Women in Nubian society were not confined to the shadows, as they often were in neighboring lands. Here, they moved with purpose, their linen dresses swaying in the breeze, their arms adorned with bangles of bronze or faience that clinked softly with each step. The scent of damp earth and roasting sesame seeds fills the air, and the village hums with the steady pulse of daily life, where women's hands shaped both home and history. Let us begin with the life of a farmer's wife, a woman named Mary, whose days mirror the rhythm of the Nile. Picture her rising at dawn, the air cool and fresh with the river's breath, her hut dim and scented with the faint musk of straw bedding. She wraps a linen shawl around her shoulders, its edges frayed but dyed a soft ochre, and steps outside to tend the fields. The ground is soft beneath her bare feet, still damp from the Nile's flood, and she carries a wooden hoe, its handle worn smooth by years of use. The air is alive with the chirping of birds and the distant lowing of cattle, and Mary works alongside her neighbors, planting sorghum and millet. Their voices a soft hum as they share stories of the market or a child's mischief. The scent of turned earth clings to her hands, a grounding reminder of the land's bounty. Mary's work extends beyond the fields. Picture her at midday, seated under a tamarisk tree, its shade a cool respite from the sun. The air is thick with the scent of dust and greenery, and she kneads dough for flatbread, its texture soft and warm, while a clay pot simmers with lentils and wild herbs. Her children play nearby, weaving baskets from reeds, their laughter blending with the hum of village life. Mary's role as centralshe manages the household, barters surplus grain at the market, and weaves linen on a simple loom, its rhythmic clack a soothing counterpoint to the day's labor. The air grows warmer, and her hands, rough from work, move with a quiet confidence, tying her to the rhythm of her community. Now, let us turn to a different life, that of a priestess named Tai, who serves in the temple of Mut, the mother goddess. Picture her in Napata, walking through the temple's courtyard, the air heavy with the scent of burning myrrh and the soft chant of hymns. Her robe is fine linen, adorned with a single amulet of gold shaped like a lotus, and her hair is braided with beads that clink softly as she moves. The temple's walls, carved with scenes of mutt-cradling kings, glow in the torchlight, and ties, duty's a sacred she, tends the shrine, offering milk and honey, her voice low and melodic as she prays for the kingdom's fertility. The air is cool, sacred, and the rhythm of her chants lulls the heart, a reminder of her role as a bridge to the divine. Let us pause for a sub-scene, a moment when Tai prepares for a festival. Picture her in a temple chamber, the air scented with the wax of oil lamps and the faint sweetness of lotus petals. She polishes a bronze censer, its surface warm under her fingers, and fills it with resin, its smoky aroma rising as she lights it. Other priestesses join her, their voices a soft chorus as they rehearse hymns, their linen robes swaying in unison. The air hums with the rattle of sistrums, and Tai feels a quiet pride, knowing her work honors the gods and binds the community. At the festival, she leads a procession to the Nile, the air alive with drums and the scent of fresh-baked bread offered to Mut. The crowd follows, their faces lit by torchlight, and the rhythm of the ritual, steady and soothing, weaves them into Nubia's sacred tapestry. Women in Nubia also held roles of strength, as archers in the king's army. Picture a woman named Kassa, her arms strong from years of training, standing on a training ground near Meru. The air is thick with the scent of dust and leather, and the soft thud of arrows striking straw targets punctuates the morning. Kassa's bow, crafted of acacia wood, is taut in her hands, and her linen tunic is tied back for ease of movement. She draws the string, her breath steady, and releases an arrow, its flight a whisper in the air. The other archers, men and women, nod in respect, for Nubian women were renowned for their skill, their arrows as deadly as any man's. The air grows warm, and Kassa pauses to sip water from a clay jug, its surface cool and beaded with moisture, her thoughts drifting to tales of Kandakes, who led armies, their courage a quiet inspiration. Nubian women enjoyed freedoms uncommon in neighboring lands. Picture a market scene, where a woman named Nebit barters her woven baskets for copper tools. The air is thick with the scent of spices and fish, and the hum of haggling fills the space, blending with the splash of Nile boats docking nearby. Nebit's voice is confident, her hands gesturing to emphasize the quality of her work, and the trader, a man from Egypt, agrees to her terms, impressed by her women in Nubia could own property, trade goods, and even initiate divorce, their agency woven into the kingdom's laws. The air grows still as Nebit walks away, her basket lighter, her steps sure, a testament to her place in the market's rhythm. But life was not without hardship. Picture a drought year, the air dry and heavy with the scent of parched earth, the Nile's flood weaker than usual. Mary, the farmer's wife, works longer hours, her hands blistered from digging irrigation channels, her heart heavy with worry for her children's meals. The air carries the faint wail of a neighbor mourning a lost crop, but Mary presses on, sharing what little she has with her village. Her resilience, a quiet strength. The focus is not on the sorrow, but on the community's endurance. The way women gathered to pray at a riverside shrine, their voices soft as they ask Amen for rain. The air hums with their hope, a soothing rhythm that carries them forward. Let us linger on a moment of connection when women gather to weave under a village canopy. The air is cool, scented with the grassy tams of reeds and the faint smoke of a nearby hearth. Their hands move in unison, threading linen on looms, the soft clack of wood a steady beat. They share stories of a Kandak's victory, a child's first words, or a trader's tale from Punther laughter blending with the hum of the Nile. A young girl, learning to weave, watches closely, her fingers clumsy but eager, and the older women guide her, their voices gentle and encouraging. The air grows warm, and the rhythm of their work, as the voices of Nubia's women fade into the quiet of the night, their stories lingering like a gentle breeze. Let us turn from the hearth and home to a moment of trial that tested the kingdom's strength. Picture yourself now in the ancient land of Nubia in the 4th century CE, standing on a dusty plain near the city of Donk, where the Nile's waters carve a green ribbon through the desert. The air is warm, thick with the scent of dry earth and the faint temps of leather and bronze, as warriors gather under a sky streaked with the amber of dusk. Tonight, we recount the Battle of Dongla, a clash that saw Nubia's Christian kingdom stand firm against invaders, a moment of resilience and resolve woven into the rhythm of their lives. lulling us gently into the past beneath the desert sun. Imagine the world of Nubia in this later era, when the kingdom of Mercuria had risen from the ashes of Kush. Its people now followers of a new faith, Christianity, brought by missionaries from the north. Dongla, a fortified city along the Nile, is a hub of trade and devotion. Its mud-brick churches adorned with crosses and its markets bustling with goods from Axum and Byzantium. The air carries the scent of fresh-baked bread, the soft chant of priests reciting psalms, and the distant lowing of cattle grazing along the river. Yet, this is a time of tension, for beyond the horizon, Arab tribes, emboldened by the rise of Islam, press against Nubia's borders, seeking to expand their reach. The Battle of Dongola, fought around 640 to CE, was a pivotal moment, a stand that preserved Nubia's independence for centuries. Picture the scene as preparations begin. The air is alive with the soft clink of archers sharpening arrows, their whetstones scraping against bronze tips, and the low murmur of warriors praying in a riverside church. The king of Mercuria, perhaps Caladurat, stands among his troops, his linen robe adorned with a simple cross, his presence a quiet anchor for his people. The warriors, men and women, trained in the Nubian tradition of archery, move with purpose, their bows of acacia wood gleaming in the sunlight. The air is thick with the scent of dust and anticipation, but the rhythm of their preparations steady, deliberate lulls the heart, a reminder of their resolve to protect their land. Let us follow a warrior, a woman named Takwit, as she readies for battle. Picture her in a camp near Dongla, the air warm and scented with the smoke of cooking fires and the faint musk of leather armor. Her bow, polished smooth from years of use, rests beside her, and she ties her hair back with a linen cord. Her movements calm but precise. She kneeled by a small fire, sharing a meal of flatbread and dried fish with her comrades. Their voices low as they recount tales of past victories. The air hums with the soft strum of a lyre, played by a young soldier to ease their nerves, and Tokuit offers a prayer to the Christian god, her words blending with the Nile's gentle ripple. The scent of burning acacia wood fills the air, and the rhythm of the camp, steady and communal, soothes her thoughts, tying her to the land she defends. The battle itself, when it comes, is not a scene of chaos, but one we approach with care, focusing on its weight and meaning rather than its turmoil. Picture the plain outside Dongla, the air thick with the scent of dust and the distant cry of horns signaling the enemy's approach. The Arab forces, mounted on swift horses, move across the desert, their banners catching the wind, their numbers a shadow on the horizon. The Nubians, renowned for their archery, take their positions along the Nile's banks, their bows drawn, their arrows ready. The air grows still, and the soft thud of hooves on sand blends with the rustle of palm fronds, a quiet prelude to the clash. The conflict unfolds swiftly, but we linger not on the strife, but on its rhythm and resolution. Nubian archers, their training honed by generations, release volleys of arrows, their flight a whisper in the air, finding their marks with precision. The invaders falter, their advance slowed, and the plain bears witness to a struggle that shifts the balance of power. Lives are lost, and the earth is marked by the sorrow of those who fall, but the focus remains on the Nubians' unity, their arrows a testament to their skill and faith. The air is heavy with the scent of sweat and earth, but the battle's outcome is clear. Nubia's warriors hold their ground, their resolve unbroken, their land preserved. Let us pause for a subscene a moment after the battle, when Tokuit returns to Dong. Picture her walking through the city's gates, the air cool and scented with the Nile's freshness, the sky a deep indigo. Her bow is slung across her shoulder, her tunic stained with dust, but her steps are steady, her heart lifted by the victory. The streets are alive with the soft hum of celebration, women singing hymns, children offering garlands of reeds, and priests chanting prayers of thanks in a church lit by oil lamps. Tokuit pauses at a riverside shrine, placing a small clay cross at its base, her voice low as she whispers gratitude for her safety. The air hums with the scent of burning incense, and the rhythm of the city, joyful yet serene, lulls her into a moment of peace. The Battle of Dongla was more than a military victory. It was a turning point for Picture the aftermath, as the king negotiates a treaty, known as the Pact, with the Arab leaders. The air in the meeting hall is warm, scented with the wax of lamps and the faint aroma of date wine shared between emissaries. The treaty, a rare agreement in a time of conquest, ensured peace for centuries, with Nubia sending goods, gold, ivory, and sometimes slaves in exchange for security. The air grows still as scribes record the terms on papyrus, their reeds scratching softly, and the rhythm of diplomacy, steady and deliberate, weaves a new thread into Nubia's story. The battle's legacy lingered in Nubian culture. Picture a festival years later, held to honor the victory. The air is alive with the sound of drums and the rattle of and the scent of roasted gazelle and fresh-baked bread fills the streets of warriors. Now, elders recount the tale to children gathered around a fire, their voices low and rhythmic, speaking of arrows that flew like the wind and a faith that held firm. The air grows warm, and the soft glow of torches casts shadows on mud-brick walls, lulling the listeners into a sense of pride and continuity. The story of Dongla became a touchstone, a reminder of Nubia's strength in the face of challenge. Let us linger on a moment of reflection as a priest stands by the Nile at dawn, the air cool and scented with the river's breath. He traces a cross in the sand, his fingers steady, and prays for the souls of those lost in the battle, their memory honored in the kingdom's end. The air hums with the soft chant of psalms, and the Nile's ripple carries a sense of timelessness, a reminder that Nubia's faith and resilience outlasted the clash of arms. The battle, though a moment of trial, was woven into the rhythm of their lives, a quiet victory that echoed through the ages. The Battle of Dongla was a testament to Nubia's spirit, a moment when warriors like Taquit stood firm, their arrows and prayers shaping a future free from conquest. As the plain grows quiet, the air scented with the freshness of the Nile and the faint smoke of victory fires, the kingdom's heartbeat continues, lulling us into the steady pulse of its history. As we leave the plains of Dongla, let us turn to the knowledge that healed and sustained Nubia, the practices that soothed body and soul in a world of challenge. As the echoes of the Battle of Dongla fade into the quiet triumph of Nubia's resilience, let us step from the plains of conflict to a quieter realm where the body and soul are tended with care and reverence. Picture yourself now in a village near Meru, some 2,000 years ago, standing outside a modest hut where the air is warm and thick with the scent of crushed herbs and burning charcoal. The Nile flows nearby, its waters a gentle murmur, reflecting the flickering light of a healer's fire. You are no longer a warrior standing firm against invaders, but a healer, or perhaps a patient, seeking solace in the ancient practices of Nubian medicine and magic. Tonight, we explore the art of healing in this desert kingdom, a blend of herbal wisdom, spiritual rituals, and quiet faith, woven into the rhythm of their lives beneath the desert sun, lulling us gently into the past. Imagine the village at dusk, its mud-brick huts glowing faintly in the fading light, their walls smoothed by years of wind and rain. The air carries the fresh, earthy scent of the Nile, mingled with the sharp temps of medicinal herbs drying under a pomfron canopy. Healing in Nubia was not merely a matter of treating ailments, but a sacred act, entwining the physical with the divine. The healer's hut, set slightly apart from the village, is a place of solace, its interior dim and scented with the musky aroma of frankincense and the faint bitterness of aloe. The floor is strewn with clean rushes, their grassy scent grounding, and a small fire burns in a clay brazier, casting shadows that dance on the walls. Picture yourself as a patient, perhaps a miner with a persistent cough from the dust of the quarries, entering the hut. The air is warm, heavy with the scent of healing bombs, and the healer, a woman named Izat, greets you with a calm nod. Her linen dress is simple, adorned with a single amulet of turquoise shaped like an ankh, and her hands are steady, stained with the green of crushed herbs. She sits you on a woven mat, its texture rough but comforting, and begins her work. The air hums with her soft chant, a prayer to Isis, the goddess of healing, whose benevolence is sought for every remedy. The rhythm of her voice, steady and soothing, lulls your thoughts, easing the weight of your ailment. Isat's knowledge is vast, drawn from generations of Nubian wisdom and exchanges with Egyptian and Saharan healers. Picture her workbench, a low wooden table covered with tools of her craft, clay jars filled with dried myrrh, aloe, and acacia gum, a mortar and pestle, their surfaces worn smooth, and a bundle of papyrus scrolls listing remedies, their edges curled from use. The air is thick with the scent of crushed coriander seeds, their sharp, citrusy aroma blending with the smoky warmth of the fire. She prepares a poultice for your cough, grinding aloe and honey into a thick paste, its texture cool and sticky as she applies it to your chest. The air grows still, and the soft crackle of the fire punctuates her quiet instructions to breathe deeply, letting the remedy work its way into your body. Let us pause for a moment when Isaac gathers herbs by the Nile. Picture her at dawn, walking along the river's edge, the air fresh and scented with the damp earth of the floodplains. Her basket, woven from reeds, swings gently as she collects wild mint and lotus roots, their leaves glistening with dew. The Nile ripples softly, its surf is alive with the darting shapes of fish, and the air hums with the buzz of dragonflies. A fellow healer, a man named Kepa, joins her, sharing knowledge of a new plant from the Sahara, its sap said to soothe burns. Their voices are low, their laughter soft, and the rhythm of their work plucking, sorting, bundling feels like a quiet dance with the land. The air grows warmer, and the scent of the herbs, sharp and green, lulls Isaac into a sense of purpose, tying her to the kingdom's healing traditions. Nubian medicine was not just herbal, but magical, blending remedies with rituals to appease the spirits believed to cause illness. Picture a ceremony for a child with a fever, held in the healer's hut at twilight. The air is thick with the scent of burning myrrh, its smoke curling upward like a prayer. And Isaac places a small amulet of faience, shaped like a lion for Apidmak, around the child's neck. The mother, her face lined with worry, kneels nearby, her voice joining as sots in a soft chant to Isis, their words a soothing melody. A clay bowl of water, sprinkled with crushed lotus petals, is used to bathe the child's forehead, its coolness a gentle relief. The air hums with the rattle of a sistrum, and the rhythm of the ritual, repetitive and comforting, calms the mother's fears, weaving faith into the act of healing. The treatment of injuries, common among miners and farmers, required practical skill. Picture Isaac tending a man with a crushed hand, his injury sustained in the gold mines. The air is heavy with the scent of antiseptic herbs, myrrh and garlic mixed into a salve. Hassat works carefully, her hands steady as she cleans the wound with Nile water, avoiding the pain of the injury in her calm narration. She wraps the hand in clean linen, its texture soft but firm, and offers a tea of willow bark, its bitter taste masked with honey. The man's breathing slows, lulled by her quiet instructions to rest, and the air grows still, scented with the warmth of the hut's fire. The focus is on recovery, not the wound's severity, and the rhythm of her care, steady and deliberate, offers a sense of hope. Nubian healers also drew on Egyptian knowledge, refined through trade and conquest. Picture a scroll in Isot's hut, acquired from a Theban physician, detailing the use of natron for infections. The air is scented with the wax of oil lamps as she studies it, her fingers tracing the hieratic script, the soft scratch of a reed pen marking her notes. The scroll speaks of balancing the body's energies, a concept shared with Nubian beliefs in harmony between body and spirit. The air hums with the distant chant of a temple festival, and Isaac reflects on the exchange of knowledge, a quiet bridge between kingdoms that enriched her craft. Let us linger on a moment of community healing, when a village gathers to support a sick elder. Picture the scene at dusk, the air cool and scented with the Nile's freshness and the smoke of a communal fire. Women grind herbs, their pestles thudding softly, while men offer prayers, their voices a low hum. Oizat leads a ritual, sprinkling water infused with acacia gum around the elder's hut, its scent sharp and cleansing. The air is alive with the soft rattle of amulets and the murmur of shared hope, and the elder, resting on a reed mat, smiles faintly, comforted by the village's care. The rhythm of the ritual, repetitive and soothing, lulls the gathering, tying them to a tradition that blends medicine with magic. The challenges of healing were many, especially in times of scarcity. Picture a drought here, the air dry and heavy with the scent of parched earth, when herbs were scarce and the Nile's bounty dwindled. Azat rationed her supplies, her hands trembling slightly as she measured out the last of her myrrh, but her voice remained calm, offering prayers to sustain her patient spirits. The air carried the faint wail of a family mourning a loss, but the focus is on Isolde's resilience, her ability to adapt with wild plants and faith. The rhythm of her work, steady and enduring, carried the village through hardship, a quiet testament to Nubia's. As the soothing rituals of Nubian healing fade into the quiet of the night, their herbs and chants lingering like a gentle breeze, let us turn from the healer's hut to a mystery buried in the sands of Meru, a craft that fueled Nubia's strength, yet vanished from memory. Picture yourself now in the ancient city of Meru, some 300 years before our era, standing on a dusty hill where the air is thick with the acrid scent of burning charcoal, metallic tamps of molten iron. The Nile flows in a distance, its waters a steady murmur, reflecting the flickering glow of furnaces that dot the landscape. Tonight, we explore the lost ironworks of Meru, a forgotten industry that made Nubia a pioneer of metallurgy in Africa, its secrets hidden beneath slag heaps and time, lulling us gently into the rhythm of their lives beneath the desert sun. Imagine Meru at its zenith, a bustling capital where the Nile's fertile banks meet the desert's edge, its skyline marked by pyramids and temples glowing in the sunlight. The ironworks, set on the city's outskirts, are a world apart from the sacred precincts, yet vital to Nubia's power. The air is warm, heavy with the smoky haze of furnaces, their mud-brick domes glowing red in the twilight. Scattered across the hills are heaps of slag-black, glassy remnants of iron smelting piled like silent sentinels, their surfaces glinting faintly under the stars. The sound of hammers striking anvils echoes softly, blending with the low hum of workers' voices and the occasional bray of a donkey carrying charcoal. This is the heart of Meru's iron industry, a craft that forged tools, weapons, and wealth, yet left behind questions that linger in the sands. Let us begin with the process itself, a marvel of skill and Picture a furnace, its mud-brick walls blackened by years of heat, its interior glowing with the fierce light of burning acacia wood and charcoal. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and molten metal, and the soft whoosh of goatskin bellows fills the space as workers pump air to stoke the fire. The iron ore, quarried from nearby hills, is a reddish stone, heavy with the promise of metal. You, perhaps an apprentice named Hetty, stand nearby, your linen kilt stained with soot, your hands steady as you feed the furnace with ore and charcoal. The heat presses against your skin, a constant weight, but the rhythm of the workloading, pumping, waiting is meditative, lulling your thoughts into a steady pulse. The smelting process is slow, a dance of fire and patience. Picture the ore melting within the furnace, its impurities rising as slag, a molten waste that drips into clay molds below. The air grows hotter, scented with the sharp, metallic temps of liquid iron, and the soft crackle of the fire blends with the low chant of a worker's song, a melody to honor Pata, the god of craftsmen. When the iron blooms, a spongy mass of metal are ready. They are pulled from the furnace with long tongs, their surfaces glowing red. The air hums with the clank of hammers as smiths shape the blooms into tools, hosers, adze as spearheads. Their strikes a rhythmic beat that echoes across the hills. The scent of cooling metal, sharp and clean, fills the air, a testament to the craft's transformative power. Let us pause for a moment when Hetty learns the craft from an elder smith named Manar. Picture them at dawn, standing by a furnace, the air cool and scented with the dew on nearby grasses. Mena, his hands scarred from years of work, shows Hetty how to judge the fire's heat by its color, his voice low and steady, like a lullaby. The furnace glows orange, its heat a quiet presence, and Mena sprinkles a handful of sand into the ore, a trick to ease the slag's flow. The air hums with the soft whoosh of bellows, and Hetty listens, his eyes fixed on the glowing bloom, feeling the weight of a craft that shapes Nubia's future. At midday, they rest under a pomfret canopy, sharing a meal of flatbread and dried fish, the scent of the Nile's freshness blending with the smoky air, lulling them into a moment of quiet pride. The mystery of Meru's ironworks lies in their scale and sophistication. Picture the hills around the city, dotted with dozens of furnaces, their slag heaps stretching across the landscape like a forgotten map. The air is thick with the scent of charcoal and earth, and the soft clank of hammers echoes from multiple workshops. Archaeologists, centuries later, would marvel at these remains, estimating that Meru produced iron on a scale unmatched in ancient Africa. perhaps even rivaling Rome or India. The air in those excavations was dry, scented with the dust of time and the discovery of slag heaps. As tall as a man, spoke of an industry that armed warriors, equipped farmers, and fueled trade with distant lands. But how did Nubians master this craft so early, and why did its secrets fade? The answer lies partly in Meroe's environment. Picture the hills, rich with iron ore, their reddish surfaces exposed by erosion, a gift from the land. The air carries the scent of acacia trees, whose wood provided the charcoal needed for and the Nile's proximity ensured water for cooling and transport. Nubians likely learned from Egyptian and Levantine techniques, refining them in their desert workshops. Picture a trader from Thebes, his boat docked at Meroe, sharing a papyrus scroll detailing furnace designs, the air scented with the wax of his lamp as he speaks with a Nubian smith. The exchange, quiet and thoughtful, wove Nubia into a network of knowledge, its ironworks a testament to ingenuity and adaptation. But the work was grueling, its challenges woven into the rhythm of their lives. Picture a summer day, the air heavy with heat and smoke, as workers labor under the sun's relentless gaze. Their hands blister from handling hot tools, and their lungs strain in the smoky haze. But the focus is on their endurance, not their suffering. A worker pauses to sip water from a clay jug, its surface cool and beaded with moisture, and shares a quiet joke with a friend. Their laughter, a soft counterpoint to the furnace's roar. The air grows still, and the rhythm of their work-pumping bellows, hammering blooms, lulls them into a trance-like focus, a quiet resilience that sustained the craft. The ironworks' decline is another mystery. Picture Meroe in its waning years, around the 4th century CE, the air thick with the scent of dust and dwindling fires. The furnaces, once alive with heat, stand silent, their slag heaps reclaimed by the desert. Scholars suggest trade routes shifted, or deforestation reduced the charcoal supply. The air once smoky, now clear but heavy with change. Picture a smith, the last of his line, shaping a final spearhead, his hammer's clank echoing alone, the scent of cooling metal a fading memory. The knowledge of ironworking, once a cornerstone of Nubia's power, slipped into the sands, its secrets buried beneath the dunes. Let us linger on a moment of rediscovery, when 19th century explorers stumbled upon Meroe's slag heaps. Picture an archaeologist, his boots crunching on the sandy hills, the air dry and scented with the dust of ages. He kneels beside a slag heap, its glassy surface glinting in the sunlight, and unearths a rusted iron blade, its edge dulled but its story intact. The air hums with the excitement of discovery, yet the mystery remains: how did Nubians achieve such mastery, and why was it lost? The slag heaps, silent witnesses, offer no answers, their forms blending with the desert's embrace, lulling the mind into wonder. The ironworks of Meroe were a quiet triumph. As the mystery of Meroe's ironworks fades into the quiet of the desert night, their furnaces dimming under a starlit sky, let us turn from the lost crafts of the past to a celebration that bound Nubia's people to their lifeblood. The Nile. Picture yourself now in a village near Kerma, some 2,000 years ago, standing on the river's banks where the air is warm and thick with the scent of fresh mud and blooming lotus flowers. The Nile glimmers in the twilight, its waters swelling with the annual inundation, a gift that nourishes fields and sustains life. Tonight, we join a festival honoring the Nile's flood, a joyous ritual of music, offerings, and community that wove faith and gratitude into the rhythm of their lives, lulling us gently into the past beneath the desert sun. Imagine the village at dusk, its mud brick huts glowing faintly in the fading light, their walls adorned with simple patterns of red ochre. The air is alive with the hum of anticipation, the soft beat of drums, and the laughter of children darting through the crowd. The Nile is the heart of this celebration, its waters rising after months of drought, transforming the parched fields into a patchwork of green. The scent of damp earth and water reeds fills the air, mingling with the smoky warmth of communal fires where bread and fish are roasted. The festival is a time of unity, when miners, potters, and nobles gather as one, their voices blending in songs of thanks to Hopia, the god of the Nile, and Amen, the divine protector whose will brings the flood. Picture the preparations, which begin at dawn. The air is cool, scented with the freshness of the river and the faint sweetness of acacia blooms. You, perhaps a villager named Nebet, join your neighbors to ready the festival. Your linen dress, dyed a soft blue, sways as you carry a basket of offerings, clay jars filled with millet, dates, and honey, their surfaces warm from the morning sun. The riverbank is bustling, with women weaving garlands of lotus flowers, their petals soft and fragrant, and men building a wooden platform for the priests, its surface smoothed with river mud. The air hums with the soft clink of pottery being arranged and the laughter of children practicing a dance, their steps a playful rhythm that lulls the heart. The festival begins as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of amber and violet. Picture the scene: a crowd gathered along the Nile, their linen garments glowing in the torchlight, their faces alight with joy. The air is thick with the scent of burning myrrh, its smoke curling upward like a prayer, and the soft rattle of sistrum's metal instruments shaken by priestesses blends with the steady beat of drums. A priest, his robe adorned with a gold amulet shaped like a ram's head, steps onto the platform, raising his hands to quiet the crowd. His voice, low and melodic, chants a hymn to Hapi, thanking the god for the flood that renews the land. The air grows still, and the rhythm of his words, steady and soothing, weaves a spell over the gathering, lulling them into a shared reverence. Let us pause for a sub-scene, a moment when Nebet joins the procession to the river. Picture her walking with other women, her basket heavy with offerings, the air warm and scented with the damp earth of the floodplain. Her sandals sink slightly into the mud, and the soft splash of the Nile against the bank blends with the hum of voices singing praises. A young girl, her hair braided with beads, hands Nebet a lotus garland, its petals cool against her skin, and they smile, their bond a quiet thread in the festival's tapestry. The procession reaches the water's edge, where Nebet places her jar of millet into the Nile, its surface catching the torchlight as it floats briefly before sinking. The air hums with the soft chant of the crowd, and the rhythm of the offering, gentle and deliberate, lulls her heart, tying her to the river's eternal gift. The festival is not just a ritual, but a celebration of community. Picture the feasting that follows, the air thick with the aroma of roasted gazelle, spiced lentils, and fresh-baked flatbread, its surface crisp and warm. Tables are set along the riverbank, their wooden surfaces laden with clay bowls and jugs of date wine, its flavor sweet and slightly tart. You sit with your neighbors, sharing stories of the harvest, the market, or a child's first steps. Your voice is a soft hum beneath the stars. A musician strums a lyre, its notes blending with the Nile's gentle lapping, and dances young men and women move in a slow, rhythmic circle, their linen kilts swaying in the torchlight. The air grows warm, and the rhythm of the feast, communal and comforting, lulls the mind into a sense of unity. The festival also honors the gods beyond Hapi. Picture a priestess, her arms adorned with bangles of faience, leading a dance for Amen. The air is alive with the rattle of her sistrum and the soft thud of her bare feet on the ground, her movements graceful yet deliberate. She carries a clay statue of Amen, its ram's head painted gold, and places it on a riverside altar, surrounded by offerings of honey and bread. The crowd joins her chant, their voices rising and falling like the Nile's current, and the air is scented with the sweetness of burning resin. The rhythm of the dance, repetitive and soothing, weaves the community into a shared prayer, a moment of gratitude for the flood that sustains their fields and lives. But the Nile's inundation was not always certain. Picture a year when the flood was weak, the air dry and heavy with the scent of parched earth, the fields left barren. The festival, though subdued, still took place, the air thick with the scent of fewer offerings and the quiet murmur of prayers for rain. The villagers gathered, their faces lined with worry, but their voices remained steady, singing hymns to Hapi with hope. The focus is not on the hardship, but on their resilience, the way they shared what little they had: millet, fish, faith to sustain one another. The air hums with the soft clink of pottery as they place offerings in the river, and the rhythm of their prayers, calm and enduring, lulls them into a sense of unity, a quiet strength beneath the desert sun. Let us linger on a moment of reflection. When an elder stands by the Nile at midnight, the air cool and scented with the river's freshness, he holds a small clay lamp, its flame flickering in the breeze, and gazes at the water, its surface shimmering under the stars. The air is alive with the soft chirping of crickets and the distant hum of the festival winding down, and he murmurs a prayer, thanking the Nile for its gifts. and the gods for their watchfulness. The rhythm of his words, steady and soothing, echoes the river's flow, tying the village to a cycle older than memory. The festival for the Nile's inundation was a heartbeat of Nubian life, a celebration that wove faith, community, and gratitude into the fabric of their days. As the fires die down and the air grows still, scented with the last traces of lotus and myrrh, the village sleeps, lulled by the rhythm of a river that carried their hopes through the ages. As we leave the joyous banks of the Nile, let us turn to the twilight of Nubia's glory, a moment when the kingdom faced its greatest challenge. As the joyous echoes of the Nile's festival fade into the stillness of the night, their drums and chants lingering like a distant memory, let us turn from the vibrant celebrations to a quieter, more somber chapter in Nubia's story. Picture yourself now in the ancient city of Meru, around 350 CE, standing on a hill overlooking the Nile, its waters a shimmering thread beneath a sky heavy with the weight of change. The air is warm, thick with the scent of dry earth, and the faint smoke of dwindling fires, as the kingdom of Kush, once a beacon of power, begins to wane. Tonight, we explore the fall of Kush, a gradual unraveling of a civilization shaped by trade, faith, and the desert's embrace, lulling us gently into the rhythm of their lives as they face the twilight of their glory beneath the desert sun. Imagine Meru in its final days, a city still grand but quieter now, its streets less crowded, its temples less adorned. The air carries the scent of sun-baked sandstone and the faint sweetness of acacia blooms. But the hum of activity once vibrant with traders, priests, and artisans has softened, like a song nearing its end. The pyramids, standing proud on the hills, cast long shadows over a city that feels the weight of time. The Nile flows, as it always has, its waters a steady murmur, but the fields it nourishes yield less, and the markets, once bustling, now echo with fewer voices. The fall of Kush was not a single moment, but a slow fading, woven from environmental shifts, economic strains, and the rise of new powers, a quiet tide that reshaped Nubia's destiny. Let us begin with the world of Kush in its waning years. Picture Meru's skyline, its pyramids and temples still gleaming, but their surfaces weathered, their carvings soft by centuries of sand and wind. The air is thick with the scent of dust and the faint temps of iron from the now silent furnaces that once fueled the kingdom's wealth. The kingdom of Kush, which had rivaled Egypt and traded with lands as far as India, faced mounting challenges. Trade routes, once arteries of gold, ivory, and iron, were shifting northward to the rising kingdom of Aksum in modern-day Ethiopia. The air carries the distant bray of donkeys, their caravans turning away from Meru, and the soft scratch of scribes' reeds, recording dwindling tribute in the royal archives. The environment, too, played a role in Kush's decline. Picture the Nile's banks, once lush with millet and sorghum, now parched in seasons when the flood was weak. The air is dry, heavy with the scent of cracked earth, and farmers, their linen kilts stained with mud, work tirelessly to dig irrigation channels, their hoes striking the ground with a soft thud. The desert encroached, its sands creeping closer to the fields, and the acacia forests, vital for charcoal, thinned under the strain of ironworking. The air hums with the quiet worry of villagers, their prayers to Ammon and Hapi more fervent, their voices blending with the rustle of dying crops. Yet, the focus is not on despair, but on their resilience, the way they shared spars, havers, and turned to the river's enduring gift. Let us pause for a subscene, a moment in the life of a merchant named Horem, whose trade reflects Mero's fading prosperity. Picture him at dawn, standing by the Nile's docks, the air cool and scented with the river's freshness. His boat, a reed vessel with a patched sail, is laden with ostrich feathers and faience beads, but fewer than in years past. The air hums with the soft splash of oars as he prepares to sail north, hoping to barter in Egyptian markets, now dominated by Aksumite traders. Horem pauses to share a meal with his crew, flatbread and dried fish, their flavors simple but grounding under, a tamarisk tree, its shade, a quiet respite. His voice is low, recounting tales of Moreau's golden days, and the rhythm of his words, steady and reflective, lulls his crew, tying them to a city they still call home. The rise of Axum was a tide that could not be turned. Picture a diplomatic meeting in Moreau's palace. The air warm and scented with the wax of oil lamps and the faint aroma of date wine. A Kushite noble, his robe adorned with gold, negotiates with an Axumite envoy, whose jewelry gleams with Red Sea coral. The air is thick with the soft scratch of scribes recording terms, but the balance has shifted. Axum's ports now draw the trade that once flowed to Meru. The noble's voice remains calm, his words measured, but the weight of change hangs heavy, a quiet acknowledgement that Kush's star is dimming. The air grows still, and the rhythm of diplomacy, deliberate and somber, lulls the mind, reflecting a kingdom facing its twilight. Conflict, too, played a part, though we tread lightly here. Picture the borders of Kush, where nomadic tribes, perhaps the Blemies, pressed against weakening defenses. The air is thick with the scent of dust and leather, and the soft clink of Nubian archers' arrows signals a skirmish, their bows drawn under a scorching sun. The clashes were brief, their outcomes a quiet toll on the kingdom's strength, with fields left untended and families mourning in silence. The focus is not on the strife, but on the endurance of the people who rebuilt their walls and offered prayers at riverside shrines. Their voices a soft hum in the evening air. The rhythm of their resilience, steady and unyielding, carried them through the challenges, lulling their spirits into hope. Let us linger on a moment in Moreau's final days, when a priestess named Tai stands in the temple of Amun. The air is cool, scented with the faint smoke of a dying censer, and the sandstone walls, once vibrant with carvings, are faded, their colors soft by time. She chants a hymn, her voice low and melodic, offering grain and myrrh to Amun, praying for the kingdom's endurance. The air hums with the distant ripple of the Nile, and the temple, though quieter now, feels alive with the weight of centuries. Toys hands, adorned with a single faience ring, place a clay lamp on the altar, its flame flickering in the darkness, a quiet symbol of faith, unbroken. The rhythm of her prayer, repetitive and soothing, lulls the heart, tying her to a legacy that persists beyond the kingdom's fall. The fall of Kush was not a sudden collapse, but a gradual drift, like sand carried by the wind. Picture the city of Meru in its final years, its streets emptying, its furnaces cold. The air is thick with the scent of dust and silence, but the Nile flows on, its waters a constant presence. Some families moved north to Dongla, where the Christian kingdom of Makuria rose, carrying Nubia's traditions forward. Others stayed, tending fields and temples, their lives a quiet echo of the past. The air hums with the soft chirping of crickets and the distant call of a jackal, and the pyramids, still standing, watch over a city that sleeps in the desert's embrace. Let us reflect on a moment of rediscovery. Centuries later, when archaeologists uncover Moreau's ruins, picture an explorer, his boots crunching on sandy hills, the air dry and scented with the dust of ages. He kneels beside a fallen column, its surface carved with the faded image of a Kandake, and unearths a gold amulet, its glow a whisper of Kush's glory. The air is alive with the excitement of discovery, but the silence of the ruins speaks louder, a reminder of a civilization that thrived and faded beneath the desert sun. The rhythm of their lives, once vibrant, now rests in the sands, lulling the mind into wonder and repose. The fall of Kush was a quiet turning of the tide, a moment when trade, as the fading lights of Moreau's final days, settle into the quiet embrace of the desert, their pyramids standing silent under the stars. Let us step from the ancient past to a moment of reflection, where the echoes of Nubia resonate in the world we know today. Picture yourself now in modern Sudan, standing on the banks of the Nile, where the air is warm and scented with the fresh, earthy breath of the river and the faint sweetness of date palms swaying in the breeze. The cliffs of Jebel Barkal still rise in the distance, their reddish stone, a quiet testament to a kingdom long gone, yet never truly lost. Tonight, we explore Nubia's echoes in Sudan, tracing the threads of art, language, and tradition that weave the ancient to the modern, lulling us gently into the rhythm of their lives, a rhythm that endures beneath the desert sun. Imagine a village in northern Sudan, near the modern town of Karim, where the Nile flows as it did in the days of Kush. The air is alive with the soft hum of daily life, women grinding millet with stone pestles, their rhythmic thud echoing the past. Children laughing as they play by the river, and elders sharing stories under the shade of an acacia tree, their voices a soothing melody. The mud brick homes, though built with modern hands, recall the villages of ancient Kerma, their walls smoothed by the same desert winds. The scent of fresh baked bread, spiced with coriander, mingles with the river's freshness, and the air carries a sense of continuity, a quiet pulse that ties the present to a distant time. Nubia's legacy begins with its people, the descendants of those who toiled in mines, shaped pottery, and prayed in temples. Picture a market in modern Dongle, the air thick with the scent of roasted coffee and the sharp tang of dried fish, where vendors, many from Nubian communities, barter goods with the same shrewdness as their ancestors. Their language, Nubian, echoes the ancient Nubian tongue, its words, a living thread passed down through centuries. The air hums with their voices, offering greetings and stories, and the soft clink of copper coins on scales recalls the markets of Kerma and Meru. The rhythm of their trade, steady and familiar, lulls the mind, a reminder that Nubia's spirit endures in the daily lives of its people. Let us pause for a sub-scene, a moment in the life of a modern Nubian woman named Amol, who carries her heritage with quiet pride. Picture her in her home, a mud brick house near the Nile, the air cool and scented with the faint musk of woven mats. She weaves a basket from palm fronds, her hands moving with the same dexterity as the women of ancient Nubia. The soft rustle of the reeds a soothing rhythm. On her wall hangs a clay plate, its blacktop design, a nod to the pottery of Meru, crafted by a local artisan. Amol hums a traditional song, its melody passed down through generations, and the air grows warm, scented with the stew of lentils and spices simmering on a fire. Her children listen, their eyes bright, and the rhythm of her work, repetitive and comforting, ties them to a past they carry forward. Nubia's art continues to echo in Sudan's cultural landscape. Picture a museum in Khartoum, its halls cool and scented with the faint dust of ancient artifacts. The air hums with the soft murmur of visitors, their footsteps echoing on stone floors as they admire a gold amulet, its surface carved with the image of Apidmak, the lion-headed god. Nearby a sandstone relief from a Meru pyramid, its figures faded but graceful, tells of kings and queens who once ruled the Nile. Local artists draw inspiration from these relics, painting scenes of Nile boats and desert cliffs, their brushes dipped in ochre and blue, colors that recall the temples of Napata. The air grows still, and the rhythm of their creativity, steady and evocative, lulls the heart, weaving Nubia's past into Sudan's present. The Nile itself remains a living link to Nubia's legacy. Picture a fisherman in a modern felucca, its sail catching the breeze, the air fresh with the scent of water and reeds. His boat, built from acacia wood, glides over the same waters that carried traders to Punt, its rhythm a quiet echo of ancient voice. The Nile's banks, though changed by dams and time, still nourish fields of sorghum and date palms, their green a testament to the river's enduring gift. The air carries the soft splash of oars and the distant call of a heron, and the fisherman's song, low and melodic, speaks of the river's bounty, lulling his children to sleep as it did in Nubia's time. Religion, too, carries Nubia's echo. Picture a church in Old Dongola, its mud brick walls adorned with faded frescoes of saints, their faces echoing the artistry of ancient temples. The air is thick with the scent of burning incense, and the soft chant of Coptic hymns blends with the Nile's gentle lapping. The Christian faith, embraced by Nubia in its later years, endures in Sudan's Coptic communities, their rituals a quiet bridge to the past. A priest, his robe simple but adorned with a cross, offers a prayer, his voice a soothing rhythm that recalls the chants of Ammon's priests. The air grows warm, and the rhythm of worship, steady and reverent, lulls the congregation, tying them to a faith that has flowed through centuries. Let us linger on a moment of celebration, a modern Nubian festival near the Nile. Picture the scene at dusk, the air cool and scented with the freshness of the river and the smoky aroma of roasted lamb. Drums beat softly, their rhythm echoing the festivals of old, and dancers, their dresses bright with patterns inspired by ancient pottery, move in a slow, graceful circle. The air hums with the rattle of beads and the laughter of children, and an elder tells the story of Tahaka, his voice low and melodic, weaving the king's triumphs into the present. The rhythm of the festival, communal and soothing, lulls the crowd, a testament to a heritage that lives on in song and dance. The challenges of Nubia's past droughts, invasions, decline find echoes in modern struggles, yet resilience endures. Picture a farmer in a Nubian village, his fields strained by changing climates, the air dry and scented with parched earth. He digs irrigation channels, his hoe striking the ground with a soft thud, and shares his harvest with neighbors. Their voice is a quiet hum of support. The focus is not on hardship, but on their unity, their ability to adapt and preserve their traditions. The air carries the scent of fresh bread shared at a communal meal, and the rhythm of their lives, steady and enduring, lulls them into hope, a quiet echo of Nubia's strength. Nubia's echoes are not just in Sudan, but in South Sudan and beyond. Picture a storyteller in Juba, his voice weaving tales of the Nile's gods, the air warm and scented with the smoke of a fire. His words, though spoken in a modern tongue, carry the cadence of ancient myths, lulling his listeners with their familiar rhythm. The air hums with the soft strumming of a rababa, a traditional stringed instrument, its notes a bridge to the lyres of Meru. The rhythm of these stories, passed down through generations, ties the present to a past that refuses to fade, a soothing thread in the tapestry of time. As the Nile flows on, its waters a gentle murmur under the stars. Nubia's legacy lives in the people, art, and faith of Sudan. Picture a quiet moment at night, the air cool and scented with the river's breath. As a family gathers by a fire, their voices soft as they share stories of their ancestors. The cliffs, as the echoes of Nubia's legacy linger in the modern heart of Sudan, their stories woven into the fabric of villages and rivers. We come to the end of our journey through this ancient land. Picture yourself now, dear listener, standing once more on the banks of the Nile, where the air is cool and scented with the fresh, earthy breath of the river, its waters shimmering under a sky ablaze with stars. The cliffs of Jebel Barkal rise in the distance, their silhouettes a quiet reminder of a kingdom that thrived beneath the desert sun, its people bound by toil, faith, and resilience. Tonight, we've wandered through the dusty mines, the golden halls of queens, the vibrant markets, and the sacred temples, each step a thread in the tapestry of Nubia's story. Now, as we draw this tale to a close, let us reflect on the rhythm of their lives, a rhythm that carries us gently toward rest, lulling us into the stillness of the night. Close your eyes and imagine the world we've explored, a land where miners hammered stone in the heat of the day, their hands rough but steady, their labor fueling a kingdom's wealth. Picture the potter's hands shaping clay by the Nile, the soft scrape of her tools a quiet hymn to creation, and the queen, her crown gleaming, guiding her people with wisdom and grace. Hear the chants of priests in the temple of Amun, their voices rising like smoke, and the hum of traders bartering in Kermis markets, their goods a bridge to distant lands. The air of Nubia was thick with the scent of dust, myrrh, and river water. It sounds a symphony of hammers, sistrums, and the Nile's eternal flow. Each life,